guys. So yesterday was week 2 of our Blueprint series. We talked about parenting and some ways that in the area of parenting we fail, and ways we could do better. And today we're just going to dig in a little bit deeper with that. I'm AJ. I'm here with Pastor Dustin and Janine, and we're going to have that discussion. But before we actually delve into that discussion, I'm going to read a few verses from Matthew, chapter 7, verses 9 through 11, and then we'll get into the topic at hand. Or which one of you, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? If you then, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him?
Yeah, that's good. We read that 2 weeks ago, right? When we talked about marriage. Basically, here's the thing. As parents, I'm a parent. You're a parent.
I'm a parent, yep.
And by the grace of God, one day maybe you'll be a parent as well. We want to give our kids the best.
Yeah.
Like that's really what we want. And we do our best to give our kids the best. And we're never going to, as those verses say, I mean, we're evil people, we're sinful people. Apart from Christ, we are nothing but filthy rags. Scuba line, right, is my favorite thing to say. But even then, we still try to give our kids good gifts. Like we have the best intentions for them. So the problem is when we think we're giving them good gifts and we're really giving them gifts that are hurtful. And that's kind of what we talked about yesterday a little bit. Or some things that we're messing up and we're getting wrong, and a couple of things that we could do better. And there's a lot more. We kept it pretty simple yesterday, but just from the message yesterday, we talked about avoiding risk as parents, rescuing too quickly, and then just being a weak model of faith for our kids, and how those aren't good gifts at all to them. Could you relate to any of those as a parent as you were listening to that?
100%. And it's funny because yesterday afternoon, Ariel has been riding her scooter down the hill in our driveway, and it's got like a little hole. And I'm watching her out the living room window and seeing what she's going to do. And she rides down, she hits the little hole, and she falls down. And I'm like, and Gerald's like, don't, He's like, stop, she's fine. I was like, I'm not going to rescue too quickly. I'm going to let her figure it out. And and she did. And that's kind of a silly example, but we want to like jump to their rescue the second something happens, and they do have to figure out how to get up and brush off the dirt. And she did. She sat there a second. She looked at her hands, and she looked at her knees, and she stood up and she brushed her dirt off, got her scooter, and ran back down the hill. But she avoided the little hole.
Yeah,
and she learned,
yeah.
Right? And if I had run out there and was like, oh no, let me help you, like she would have done it again.
Yeah.
She would have missed the hole.
Because consequences make for a great teacher.
Exactly.
And when we're always trying to go out and rescue as parents, which we do, like, you don't want to see your little human, because that's what they are, man. They're our little humans. You don't want to see them hurting, especially if you've been through it.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I need to rescue them out of this. Like, I don't want them to hurt or feel pain or to go through this. And it just doesn't teach them what they need to know. We can talk about it all we want to, and maybe they listen, maybe they don't. But there's just natural consequences.
Yeah.
And we have to allow them to experience those natural consequences. And so often as parents, we try to rescue way too quickly.
Yeah.
And just avoid risk in general, too. It's like, and I used to say that as a youth pastor all the time, as one of my goals as a youth pastor was for my students to get from like step number 2 to the top of the staircase and not have to go through the other steps. Like, I wanted them to avoid the pain and avoid the bad decisions and avoid all the stuff that I went through. And as I matured as an adult, but also as a Christian and as a pastor, I realized, man, that like they need to go through those steps. Like, they got to hit every step, and it looks different for each teenager, each student, each kid. But if you take them from step 2 and take them all the way to the top, they miss all that experience, all the risk, all the pain, all the consequences, all the stuff in life that really makes them who they are when they get to the top of the staircase. And we want to do that with our kids, and it just robs them of confidence.
All right. So yesterday you laid out some of the bad gifts that parents lay out for their kids. Uh, do you have any others that you could talk about?
Yeah, so there's a lot. And I said this yesterday, like, where are we failing? In a lot of things, man.
Yeah.
And again, those things we talked about yesterday, the avoiding risk and the rescuing too quickly and the modeling too weakly, that those are big ones that I think we do regularly. There's also some things that we think are really good gifts that are really hurtful to our kids. So a few of those, if you don't mind me kind of reading these, I think one of the biggest ones is we give them things that they don't earn. And
Yeah.
as a parent, and I talked about this again in week 1, where your kids just keep asking over and over and over and over and over and over for candy for dinner, or they're throwing a fit for a toy in the store, and then we give in. We're giving them in that moment something they didn't earn.
Right.
And what it creates is an entitled person, an entitled individual. So as they grow up, they feel like they're entitled to things that they didn't earn. And really, we're robbing them of the blessing of earning the blessing. That's what we're doing. And there's just something about earning the blessing, earning the reward, earning the prize. I am 100% against participation trophies, okay? I don't know if y'all knew that about me, but I am against that. You should not get a trophy or a prize for showing up. That is the standard for you
the
to
minimal amount of work.
Yes, just
Just
show
to
up.
show up.
I mean, that you should show up. You should not
Yeah.
get rewarded for showing up. But our kids in this generation is, man, they're so entitled because we as parents, we're giving them things that they don't earn. And we want them to earn the good things, but it should be, man, I want to watch YouTube Kids, or I want to play this video game. And it's like, cool, we want you to do that. But you got to do your chores.
Yep.
You got to do your homework. You got to do this. Once those things are done, then you have earned the blessing to do these other things. And I think we miss that a lot because we're giving them things they don't earn.
Oh, yeah, and they miss like learning how to work for things.
Yes.
Like we're robbing them of the process. And it's not just a process of like earning like a physical thing or a reward, but it's also like how God works in us. Like God doesn't just give us everything we want, you know, and a lot of times it's a process to get us to those places where he wants to bless us with this or that, or like whatever the thing is. And we miss the process. We just want the ending.
Yeah.
And our kids are that way too. Like they miss the process of earning that thing and working for it, and the character that produces in them to do that. Even like when they're little and all we're asking is for them to like feed the dog, you know, that's like their chore. Like you're going to feed the dog and then you can do this. Like they're missing the process. And like, I wonder how that affects their spiritual walk too. Like they want God just to give them everything they want.
Yes.
But they don't know how he works in the process.
Right. And they feel like that he should give it to them, whether they
Mhm.
earn it or not. And this is not a works-based righteousness type thing.
Right.
Like your identity is changed in Jesus because of who he
Yes.
is. This is you still work hard.
Yeah.
And you don't get the blessing. Like in life, like you're not going to get the job if you don't work hard for the job.
Right.
You don't get the promotion unless you work hard for the promotion. Like that's how it should be. But we have people who think they should get it
right,
because
they show up and they get it.
yeah, because they've gotten participation trophies their whole life for
Right.
being a part of the team and showing up to practice and games. Like, and I don't want to be like the old grumpy man in the room, but I am the old grumpy man in the room when it comes to this because, man, I grew up where you didn't get a trophy just because you were on the team. Like, if you were the most improved, maybe you got a trophy because you earned it. If you were the best offensive player, you got a trophy because you earned it.
Right.
If you were the best defensive player, you got a trophy because you earned it. In school, you got awards because you earned it. You go to
Right.
awards programs right now at school, every single kid gets an award of something. They make up these superlatives and these awards to give all these kids so nobody feels left out. And then they wonder why we have such an entitled generation. It's
Right.
like, maybe you shouldn't give them an award unless they earned the award. Like, it's okay for a kid to be left out if they didn't earn,
Yes.
the reward of the award. So as parents, we want to do that, man. We want to give them blessings and things, but we got to stop giving them things they don't earn. That's just part of it. And you spoke of the process, and that's really number 2, is we give them praise they don't deserve. And I know that's hard and it can sound mean, but we might say, man, you're the prettiest girl in the world. And just to be honest, they might not be the prettiest girl in the world. Or you're the most handsome little boy, and he might not be the most handsome little boy. And you're the smartest person in the world. And we want our kids to feel these things and to know their value and their worth. But what happens is you keep telling them over and over that they are something. And then when something clicks in their head or when someone else tells them they're not, then it crushes them.
Right.
So I think we have to start praising the process, not the person.
Yes.
We love the person. We value the person. We speak life into the person. But we have to start praising the process more than we praise the individual. Because maybe they don't make A's their whole life and they make C's, but they tried their hardest.
Yeah.
And they made a C. They gave everything they had, and we're praising the process.
Right.
If we're just praising the result and the A, and they don't get an A, man, it robs them of their confidence. It robs them of them wanting to do better and wanting to do more. So I think we got to get to a place where we can't always just praise the person and physical things, and we got to get to a place where the process matters. Right. And we praise the hard work that they put in. We praise, even if they lose a game, it's like, man, but praise God that you gave it your best, that you were a good sport, that you shook the other team's hand, even in defeat. And so we're not praising the victory or the defeat. We're praising the process and the work that was put in to get there.
And I think that helps them. Like you talk about victory and defeat. I think it helps them to learn too that when things don't go their way, there's still something to be learned.
Yes.
When they don't get what they asked for, there's still something to be learned. When they don't win every game, still something to be learned. When they don't get the award, what do they learn? I'm going to work harder.
Yeah.
And I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to get to that goal. Those are the things they learn in those processes.
Yeah.
That we're taking from them when we just give them anything they want. And that's not helpful.
It is not.
Yeah. I watched an interview recently with a celebrity. I'm not going to say who it is, but came from a well-known family of actors. Nepo baby. And he said, looking back, one of his takeaways is he thought of that old saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. But then this goes back to the whole rescuing too quickly, giving kids things they don't deserve. If you don't let the kids fail, then they don't have to try again. Yeah. They don't know how to deal with failure, and that hurts them in the long run because at some point they're going to fail.
Right.
And if you haven't instilled with them how to pick themselves back up after that, they're going to be totally lost.
Yeah.
And my generation, I'm a little sad to say, like, we've instilled that, you're not going to fail. I'm not going to let you fail. I'm not going to let you learn from failure because, like you said earlier, consequences are things to learn from. And if you fail, you find your weaknesses, you find out how to get better. But if you don't have to do that, you're not going to get better. You're just going to stay the same. And then the consequences are going to be quite negative when you reach that point and you don't know how to pick yourself back up out of it.
Right.
Yeah, so think about this. Think about somebody tells you you're the best all the time. You're the best. 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 Well, then it seeps into your brain as a kid as you're growing up. Well, dang, I got to be the best. I got to be the best at everything I do because that's all I've been told. I've been praised over and over my whole life that I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. So then when they do something and they're not the best, what does that do to them internally?
Crushes them.
It crushes them, man, because that's all they've ever heard. And that's when we're giving praise that they just haven't deserved. It doesn't mean we don't love them and we don't speak life. And y'all hear me say that all the time. Like, I want my kids to know how valuable they are and how they're worth it. But they're not the best at everything. And that's just the truth.
Yeah.
And if we tell them they are, then we're actually hurting them with that praise because they didn't deserve that. Now, if they are the best at something, then we say, man, you were the best. Yeah. Like, you won that. Congratulations. You were the best at that. But even if they don't, we can still praise the process, which is what we should be focused on praising. is the work ethic and
Right.
the honoring God and how you work and how you study and how you obey and all that stuff. It's not necessarily the obedience, it's the process that, man, God is using them to be obedient, that
Yes.
they're submitting to all this. And as they get older, that becomes more and more real in their life. But we just can't keep praising them when they don't deserve the praise. And then the third thing, really quick, is we give them freedoms they can't handle. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but we won't let them walk across the street, at 10 years old because it's dangerous.
Right.
But then we give them a cell phone at 10 years old with access to everything and say, good luck. And that's dangerous, man. That they have access to everything that they could ever want and everything that they could never imagine.
Right.
And their brains they're not developed enough to process the information that they're getting. Dude, my brain's not developed enough to process the information that I'm getting. So it's really weird to me that as parents, we can be so protective in some areas, and then we give them a freedom, like handing them one of these things, man.
Yeah.
And saying, good luck. Here's all the porn you could ever want in your pocket. Here's all the self-image stuff that you could ever want.
Yeah.
Here's all the searching for likes that you could ever want. The sexual perversions, the lies of the world, the gender ideology stuff, the confusion about anything and everything. And we just expect them to be able to handle it. And it's like, what are we doing as parents? Like, that is, cell phones are great. I do everything on my cell phone, man. My emails, my note, like everything is on my cell phone. And it's still a lot for me. Like, I see stuff all the time. It's like, dude, I care nothing about this. And I don't want to, like, none of this. And they're seeing this and they're chasing likes and they're chasing a certain image, and the world's teaching them all this stuff. And we're just like, here, good luck.
Yeah. And we were never meant to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders and much less in our pockets.
Yes.
Right. We were never meant to process all the information that we, even as adults, get through our cell phones. We weren't ever meant for that. God didn't intend for us to do that. And then, like you said, we hand it to our kids and we're like, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
We watch our kids, and like, I don't know if anybody else, and maybe it's just because I'm a mom and a female and I have daughters, and like we go out in public and like I am watching like a hawk. People around us, like my girls are in my reach. Like, I'm keeping them from danger, right? But we hand our kids a cell phone where anybody can contact them.
Yeah.
And it's a virtual kidnapping of their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not keeping them their minds safe. We worry about their physicality and keeping them safe and from somebody grabbing them and taking them from us. But then we hand them something to say, here you go. And let the world take them. And
it's wild, man.
Yeah.
That parents don't think about that. And I think it's an easy out for parents.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what electronics has become.
It's babysitter.
Yeah, it's, hey, stop bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
So here. And while I get it, man, I'm not going to try to downplay that. Like, that's reality.
Yeah.
Here's a tablet, go play this game and just give me some peace.
Yeah.
And even in that, you can still be very careful of what they have access to.
Yeah.
And we have 3rd and 4th graders that have cell phones with
just insane
unlimited access to whatever they want. And we have a generation that's coming up now that is more addicted than ever to all sorts of things, to drugs, alcohol, pornography, that they're more depressed than ever.
Yeah.
More anxiety and stress than ever. More just isolated than ever because they don't have to have these face-to-face conversations and relationships. More confused than ever.
Yeah.
And then we think like, what happened? Well, this is what happened. We gave them freedoms that they could not handle too soon. And as parents, we have to do a better job at making sure that the freedoms we give them, they can handle. Because the enemy is at work, and he is going after your mind. Like that's the battlefield for Christians. And even as adults, right? That's the battlefield still for us.
Yeah.
Is the enemy whispering and the enemy trying to get into our brains, and which is why I really think that the Bible says, "Hey, renew your mind,"
Yeah.
like, and it's with the truth of God's word, because the enemy is coming after your brain, he's coming after your mind. And kids, man, they're so innocent and so young and impressionable. And if we don't have the influence we're supposed to have inside the home, then the influences that they're getting outside the home will take root.
Yep.
It is our responsibility as parents to protect them, not so much physically, to protect them spiritually
Yes.
and emotionally and intellectually. Like, what can we do as parents to protect them? And we mentioned a couple of those things yesterday. Exposing them to some things, the
Yeah.
experience of knowing God's love personally, like the joy of that.
Yeah.
And then to expose them to the presence and the power of God and His church. Basically, you got to be a Christ follower to point your kids to Christ.
Right.
Like, that's just, you think that's common sense, but I'm not sure everybody gets that part. They want their kids to know Jesus, and they don't know Jesus. And there should be a joy in that, right?
Yeah.
There should be not just a joy, but there should be a lifestyle that shows Jesus in the home. And I think if you ask kids, I think we should do that. I think we should do a video asking kids, hey, how would you describe your parents?
Ooh.
And just see what they say. Don't ask my kids, but let's ask everybody else's kids.
Glad I don't have kids.
Because, man, I think it could be amazing, and some kids would be like, man, my dad's this and this and this, my mom's this and this and this, or it could be really eye-opening for some parents, that maybe my dad's always angry, my dad's always yelling,
Yeah.
my mom's always throwing stuff, like whatever it is, right? It could be bad, or it could be really good. Like, my dad's always joyful, my mom's always praying, and kids will tell you the truth,
Yes, they
what
will.
they see at home. But we should be exposing them to the joy of knowing God, and then making church a priority.
Yeah.
And I know some pastors shy away from that because you don't want to be legalistic and attendance and all that. And it's not a legalistic thing, man. Are you Christ-centered or are you cultural Christian?
Yeah.
And if you're Christ-centered, church will be a priority.
Yes.
Not so that you can say you went to church, but so that you could put your kids and your family, you can expose them to the presence and the power of God in His church. And then your kids begin to own the mission as they get older. And then their faith begins to transfer away from you to Jesus, because there's a difference.
Right.
Their dependence begins to shift away from you to Jesus. And that's just a great gift, man. I'm going to say these three things really quickly. I'm going to let you guys talk about these, but I think three good gifts we can give. One is what we just talked about, a community worth having.
Yeah. Because
we need each other. And I even told the church yesterday, like, I need you guys to help me.
Yeah.
Like, raise my kids to know Jesus. I'm exposing them to you guys because I believe that exposing them to you will help point them to Jesus.
Right.
So the community is important. We need each other to help with our kids. And hopefully one day, and here's my prayer for my kids. I have a 13-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old boy, but I'm not talking about him right now. So both of my girls are in youth, right?
Yeah.
And my prayer is always that if they don't want to come talk to me, even though that's a normal conversation in my house, like it's common to talk about God, but even if they don't, that they have youth leaders that they're so comfortable with because they've been exposed to that,
Right.
that they can go to them and have those conversations and not feel judged and feel loved and heard, because there will come a day where your kids have questions. There will come a day where they have doubts, and it's okay for them to have doubts and to have questions, but you want them to come to the right people with those questions and with those doubts that can give them a loving answer in truth, and not go to some worldly figure or individual that is going to push them away from the truth of God's word. So that's why the community is so important. A standard worth achieving. Like, there's a standard, and the standard is Jesus is the center of everything. Yeah. And you have to show them that. And then the third thing is a faith worth sharing. That not only is the standard Jesus, but that He's so amazing and so powerful and so life-changing that it's worth sharing that with other people.
Yeah.
And again, they're not going to see that early on in their life except through you and what you expose them to and who you expose them to. So the 3 gifts: a community worth having, a standard worth achieving, and a faith worth sharing. I think those are 3 really good gifts that we can give our kids.
Yeah, I think even with the community, my 6-year-old loves group night. She got so mad when we took a break from our life group over the summer. She's like, "What do you mean we don't have group tonight? Like, we don't have group tonight? When is group starting back? I want to go to group. When is group starting back?" So I love to see that even at 6 years old, like,
Yeah,
she
that's
is
awesome.
excited to like be with our group and run around with her friends and do what 6-year-olds do, at group. But she wants to be around those people who love Jesus, and I love that. Like, I grew up that way with parents in the ministry, and I know you as well, with like your grandfather and your family being around ministry.
Yeah.
Like, you're at the church all the time, and you hear some ministers' kids complain, like, "Oh gosh, we're at the church all the time." But like, I loved it. I loved being at the church all the time. I loved like when my dad was a youth pastor, and like we have random like teenagers come show up at our house, to hang out with my parents, and because there was that community
Mm-hmm.
of faith, and that like profoundly shaped me as an adult, having that community as a child. And that's what I want for my kids too, is to have that community that they can go to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't always want to be at church, so we were a little different. But
that's true.
it was usually like those Southern gospel scenes that I didn't want to be at.
I didn't like to go to those either.
I was like, man, I don't want to be here.
I was like, "Can I go to your office, Dad?"
So, but yeah, man, the community is important.
Church guys a little freaky when you're a kid.
Well,
Yeah, community is important, man. We talk about community all the time, as adults and for adults.
yeah,
But it starts young. It starts early. That should be the one place they want to go.
Yeah.
They should want to go to church. They should want to be a part of the groups. They should want to
yeah,
do the stuff, man. Like, and we need that in our kids because they're gonna find community somewhere.
right.
And it can be online. It could be with a group of friends that we don't really want them to find community in. Or we can help shape that and expose them to the right stuff, the right people, the right experiences. And man, they might complain and whine a little bit, especially if they weren't raised in church, if this is new for parents and they're starting this and kids are like, this is not what we do. And that's cool. Like, I get it, but you got to start sometime.
Yeah.
And it could be today, and it could be a challenge because you haven't done this yet and you're kind of transitioning from this cultural Christian to this Christ-centered. So be patient, right? You got to be patient. Know that your kids could complain and say, man, this ain't us. And you give them credit for that, right? Because you can say, you know what, this wasn't us. You were right.
Yeah.
But this is us now. Like, this is the step we're taking as a family. And you aren't their peer. You are their parent.
Yes.
So you force them if you have to. And I'm not saying that you like physically force them and beat them or anything. I mean, that's up to you. You can spank your kids for sure. I think that's biblical. But you make the rules. You set the expectations. You set the standard. And all these other things aren't optional, right? You make them go to school. So make them go to church.
Right.
Because you know that it's shaping something. And it needs to be a Bible-believing church, a Bible-preaching church. And I'm not a church basher, but there are churches out there that are very consumeristic. And the gospel's kind of watered down. And those exist. If we're going to be honest, man, those churches do exist. So find a church that preaches the truth, that believes in community, that holds you accountable, that you can be a part of, and you can be in that family. Yeah. And then as your kids begin to be around that, and they feel like they're part of the family. And that's really what we want for the kids.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, man? You were about to say something.
Yeah, just about the whole community thing. I mean, like, this is my community, even though I live 40 minutes away. Yeah. And I mean, I've got my own family community. I mean, I don't have kids of my own. I'm not married, but I've got 8 nieces and nephews. You wanna be that type of positive influence, even though you're not their parent. And like, I've got kids that come up to me, they give me hugs, they give me high fives. and I'm like, I'm not around them a lot, but they still know that I guess I've had some sort of positive influence, or they get good vibes off of me.
You're a spiritual father to them.
I mean, okay. I mean, it's hard for me to think of myself in that way, but I mean, I guess in some way, yeah. And they know that they know that, right? They picked up on it.
Well, it's important to have people like you in their community.
Right.
Like they need people who are those spiritual mothers and spiritual fathers and the fun uncles, and the people that they can come to and they can trust. Because like there may be something that like their parent says to them and they're not going to listen.
Mm-hmm.
But then that other trusted adult says something to them, the same thing, and they're like, oh, okay, well maybe like if he's saying it too, then maybe dad's right.
Yeah.
Like maybe I should really think about that. And like it is such a blessing to have the spiritual fathers and the spiritual mothers and grandmas and grandpas and all of those in your kid's life, because like they're important. They help shape that. It takes a village, and like
Right.
you were part of that village. And as someone who didn't have kids until by mid to upper 30s, like it was hard to think of myself as a spiritual mother too. And somebody said that to me one day, and I had these girls that I had in youth group, and they were my small group girls, and like I lived life with these girls, like I was there for them, whatever they needed. And somebody said, you are a spiritual mother. And I'm like, I'm just their youth group leader, but like, no, like I was their spiritual mother and help guide them. And I had one of their moms come and thank me for being mom number 2 to her daughter. She's like, I needed you. And she's like, thank you for the influence you had on my daughter. So that is an important role with your nieces and your nephews and all the kids around here.
And I mean, I love it. I mean, it gives me joy when one of the kids comes up and gives me a high five, or I get a hug out of nowhere that I'm not even expecting. Because I'm not the biggest kid person.
But they love Mr. AJ.
Yeah, it's weird. But I mean, I'm growing into that role, and it's a blessing. It really is.
Yeah, community, it does matter. Who and what you expose your children to, it will shape who they become and what they believe.
Yes.
And again, it's not to say that they're gonna say yes to Jesus. We can't force that to happen.
Right.
We never know really what they're gonna do as they move on. And the hardest thing to say, or the hardest thing to understand, or to grasp, or to even want to believe, is that kids are temporary assignments. Because we want to believe that, and we're always mom, we're always dad, right? But they are a temporary assignment for us.
Yeah.
That they will become adults, and they will have their own life, and they will do their own things. And then our role shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
Right now, we're guiding, we're protecting, we're instilling, and we're not peers. We're parents. There does come a day where that does shift a little bit, and we become more friends than, parent-child. And like my dad's one of my best friends that I get to talk to and share things with, and he still has wisdom that I ask him questions. But looking at your little kids and thinking, I just have them for a short time. It's difficult to look at them that way, but it's also it brings a sense of urgency and importance to what you're doing as a parent and exposing them to the right stuff. And that's why church is such a big deal. And really, I had no problem getting in people's business yesterday. I waited till the end, but I didn't have a problem doing it because people make excuses of why they can't. And it's always something. It's a game or the lake or the bad weather or the good weather or whatever it is, that there's always some reason that we can't go to church. It's always negotiable. And it shouldn't be that way. And I'm not saying you have to be there every week. Like there's going to be Sundays that you can't be there, and plan your vacation, plan your trip to the lake. It's when it becomes consistently that you're putting other stuff over the importance of church. And it's not church just because it's church. It's church because that's where the presence and the power of God is in his people, in his community, that you can expose your kids to. And I really want parents to understand that. And it doesn't have to be at Impact Church. It just needs to be
Whichever
a
church.
church that
Yeah.
believes the gospel,
Yes.
teaches the gospel, where you can grow in God's love, and then you can go and show God's love to the world. And your world starts in your home.
Yeah.
Like, people need to realize that. Like, your world starts in your home. And you should be helping your family know God's love, grow in God's love, and show God's love to the world. But you have to first do that to your family.
Yeah.
And we have some parents who aren't doing that. That they're trying to show God's love everywhere else, but in their homes they're not showing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's happening? Like, how can you prioritize this over here above your family?
Yeah.
But it happens all the time. And again,
It
I think
does.
it's a pretend thing. I think it's we want to look good in front of other people kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, your first ministry is inside your home. Even for me, like, my first ministry is not
Yes.
Impact Church. It is my wife and my kids.
Yeah.
And like, I have to lead them well. I have to serve them well. I have to live for them well.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing that, nothing else matters outside of the home. Like, it's got to start there.
Yeah.
So Craig Rochelle said this. He said, you can't pick your children's friends, which is true, but you can influence the environments that you put them in.
Right.
And I'm not quite there yet. I mean, my 13-year-old's getting close to that, where they hang out, kind of on their own a little bit
Right.
more. Right now, I can't control who they hang out with. Some parents are going to say, I can control who my kid. Well, you can't. When they start driving and when they start doing stuff, like, they are going to hang out with whoever they
Mhm.
want to hang out with. You can try to influence that, but you can't
Right.
pick their friends for them. But you can influence the environments that you expose them to. So what kind of environments are you exposing your kids to?
It's a great question.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I think most people will say, oh, yeah, I'm putting my kids in great environments. But, like, are you really? Like, when the environment isn't one that does promote them living a Jesus-centered life, then should they be there? Like, what's the priority?
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to the family priority as well. Like, the priority for my family is Jesus. So my kids are going to be at church. My kids are going to hang out with others who love the Lord. And they're these very formative years. When we go other places, we're going to be careful about where we allow them to go. And I always thought my parents were super strict because my parents did that for me. And there was a time when I was probably about your 13-year-old's age, and I'm like,
That's great.
Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Like, why can't I watch this? Why can't I listen to that? And as an adult looking back, I'm so grateful that my parents set those boundaries and those standards in our lives, because it did, like, help me make better decisions, even though I was mad at them at the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to remember too. Like, they might be mad at us for a little bit, but it's for their own good to put them in those environments that are good for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Here's a question you're going to get. Like, I've gotten this question a lot, but shouldn't you be friends with non-believers?
Yeah.
Because people ask that all the time. And, as Christians, shouldn't we want to be friends with people who aren't Christians so that we can be an influence on them? So how do you kind of balance that tension?
Like you said, it is a balance, right? Like, I think at this point, and like, I have my oldest is 6, so she's going to be around believers mostly right now because she's going places with us here at the church. And in these formative years, I think having her solid in what she knows is true and what she believes is important. As she gets older, she makes those friends. And, like, I'm not opposed to her having friends who don't believe, and us knowing families who are not believers. Like, I don't have an issue with that, but it's going to be controlled, right? I'm not going to let her just go over and spend an inordinate amount of time with these families. The families that we spend time with and that we do life with are going to be families who are believers at this point, because I want that solid foundation. So then when she does get out there on her own, she makes her own friends and she has friends who aren't believers, she knows how to talk to them. And she has a solid foundation, so she knows what's right and what's wrong, and she can make good choices. Or at least I would pray she would make good choices, with that.
Yeah, and I'd say, man, you should be friends and friendly with non-believers for sure. And I have some friends who aren't Christians, and it's not really a family thing though, right? It's not my family or friends with their family. It's just a personal thing. And that's important. Like
Yeah.
if all your friends are Christians, then
They're the problem.
yeah, you should have some friends who aren't
Yeah.
Christians. And you should be talking to them about the gospel in whatever way, that looks in that relationship. You might not be opening your Bible and sharing the gospel, but you should be having some
Right.
conversations that point to Jesus. And they should see Jesus in you, right? So that's important. And it's important for your kids to even know that, hey, there are some people who don't believe what we believe.
Yeah.
And we love them. And we're going to treat them the same that we would
Exactly.
treat anybody else. And we're going to show God's love to them just like we would show to anybody else. And it doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make them like us better than them. It just means that, we've got to a place where we've said yes to Jesus and he's become the center of our family. And that's our prayer for them.
Yeah.
And hopefully, through our interactions as a family and as friends, then, they'll make that decision. But even if they never do, we still love them.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep praying for them as our next souls. And we're going to just keep trying
Right.
to do that. And it's important. And it is a tough balance. And my best friend growing up, his family, they did not love Jesus at all. And I was over like all the time. But I had a solid foundation at home.
Yeah.
And I think parents kind of worry about that. Like, well, they're going to learn all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, they will. They will hear all this other stuff. So
Yep.
what are you doing at home to
Right.
combat that? Like, that should make you even more urgent. And it's even more important for you at home to build this foundation on the gospel of Jesus.
Yeah.
And because they're going to hear it.
They are.
Wherever they go, they're going to hear anti-gospel and worldly stuff. So yeah, you're right. They are. Congratulations. Welcome to America in 2025.
Right.
That's just what's going to happen. But it starts at home and you expose them to the truth in other places.
Yeah.
Don't skip church just because you want to sleep in or whatever it is. Like, get your family the exposure that they need to the gospel. And make Christ the center of it all. And then trust in his work with your kids. And they can still go off and make horrible decisions and not say yes to Jesus
Yeah.
because we can't force them. But the likelihood of them saying yes or eventually one day coming back
Right.
to that is way higher when you expose them to the right stuff.
Right. And the thing about in Proverbs is train up a child in the way he should go and he won't stray from it.
Yes.
Right. And even if they do stray from that as they grow up, the training is still there, right? The truth is still there. And the prayer is that somehow one day God will use what's already been planted, that seed that's already been planted, to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, we can't control what they do, but we can control what we teach them.
Yes. Which is what this whole thing was about, right? And some things we do wrong. And again, just to recap, we avoid risk way too much. We try to rescue our little kids way too much. And that's me, man. That's what I struggle with the most. And then we just model our faith too weakly.
Yeah.
Like, they see it. And what they see, man, that's what they're going to do. You can say all you want. But what they see you doing,
Yeah.
they are little imitators, man. They will, even this, it's like, oh, hold on. No. Don't imitate that. No, let me do something different. And they will imitate it.
They will.
And it's not what you say, it's what they see.
Yeah.
So you got to model that thing, man. You got to model faith. You got to have these conversations about God. It should be a normal part of your conversations. So I had a dad I talked to last week, and it was amazing. He was doing a devotion, and the Spirit just led him to, man, I need to start sending this devotion to my wife and to my kids. Like, they should be reading the same thing I'm reading. Like, we should be talking about this as a family. So he was convicted of that, and he started sending it, and they have conversations. When they leave church, they ask their kids, hey, well, what's one thing that, you picked up on that Pastor Dustin said, or what's one thing you learned in the kids ministry or whatever. And they have that conversation on the way to lunch, at lunch. They're talking about it. They're talking about Jesus, like, constantly. It's just a normal part. And then it gets so normal, like, people just expect it.
Yeah.
Like, you're just talking about it. And that's kind of how it is in my house. Like, we just bring it up.
Yeah.
And it's so normal. Sometimes they're like, don't pull the God card out right now. Like, and honestly, that makes me feel good when someone says that.
Yeah. Because
it's like, man, they know that this is just part of what's going to happen in our house, is we're going to talk about it. And before I can even bring it up, they're like, I don't want to hear the God card right now. So yeah, man, it's going to be weird at first, probably, if you haven't done it, if it's not something that you've done. But it is super important.
Yeah.
And then we got to stop giving our kids bad gifts. Like, we got to stop giving them things they don't earn.
Yeah.
Like, make them earn it. We got to stop giving them praise they don't deserve. Like, praise the process.
Right.
Love the person. Value the person. Praise the process. And then we got to stop giving them freedoms that they can't handle.
Yeah.
Because then it is ruining a whole generation of kids because we're giving them so much freedom that they can't handle. So what can we give them? Give them a community, a standard, a faith that's worth sharing. We expose them to the joy of knowing God personally, which means we have to be living it out. And then we expose them to the presence and the power of God in His church. Like, that's a recap of all of this. So my final word, and then I'll let you guys have a final word, is we're never going to be perfect.
Right.
We're not going to be perfect parents. We're going to mess up. We're going to blow up with anger sometimes, maybe, if that's your thing, or you're going to show too much grace, or you're going to rescue too quickly, or you're not going to model it very well sometimes, and you're going to make something else a priority over church. And man, in those moments, just recognize those things, confess those things, repent of those things, allow the Spirit to work in you. And just be transparent and vulnerable, and try this as a parent. When you mess up, go to your family, go to your kids and say, hey, I screwed this thing up. Like, I should have done this and I did this.
Yeah.
And just be real and honest and raw with your kids. Let them see what it looks like to apologize, what it looks like to mess up, what it looks like to have consequences that you can learn from. And that's modeling that thing, man. Just model it.
Right.
So we're not going to be perfect. When you mess up, own it, admit it, take a step forward, keep going, have a community around you that can help you, not just in parenting, but that can help just build you up, that you can actually be a model worth looking at and worth following. And then here's my prayer as a parent, and this is what I'll leave you with. What the Apostle Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ.
Yeah.
Like, that is my prayer as a parent, that I can tell my kids, hey, follow me as I follow Christ. And man, if we could get to that point as parents where if our kids follow us, that they're going towards Jesus, then I think we got it right. But if they follow us and they're going away from Jesus, then we got it way wrong. Yeah. So that's my prayer for all of us as parents, is that as our kids follow us, that they're following Christ. Yeah. So that's my last word, and I'll let you guys have the last say if you want one.
Well, I think just piggybacking off of that, like, I hear moms talk about a lot, like they feel like they're failing as a mom, and mom guilt's a real thing. And we could do a whole session on mom guilt. We could do that. But
hey, comment if you want to.
We'll have a conversation. We will have a conversation.
I'm gonna sit that one out
about some mom guilt. But moms, dads, whoever, like, you feel like you're failing as a parent, as long as you are following Jesus and you are trying and you are loving your kids and you're trying to work this thing out, like, there's not perfection in parenting.
For sure.
And know that you are not alone. And like, I know you probably felt that way. I feel that way. Like, I feel in my kids. Like, do your best. Follow Jesus. Love your kids well.
Yeah.
That's what I would leave it with. And like I said, if you want to talk mom guilt, I gotcha. We will talk about it.
Yeah, well, like I said yesterday, I feel like, I'm the best parent. My kids do something good, or they're behaving, everybody's getting along, or they show Jesus, and then something happens to them, and they become demons somehow, and they're not nice to each other, and they're not behaving, and they're not showing Jesus at all. And I'm like, dude, I'm a horrible parent.
Yeah.
And then something will happen, and then they love each other again, and then I realize, well, dang, I'm not a good parent or a bad parent. At that point, I'm a humble parent, realizing that I need Jesus to do this thing at all.
Yes.
So it's hard not to go through those up and downs, but maybe we can get to a place where we realize I'm not a good parent or a bad parent. Like, I'm a Christ-centered parent.
Yeah.
And I need Jesus to do all those stuff for me. And I'm just going to allow him to use me. So what you got, non-parent of the group? What'd you learn, man? This is good, man, for preparation for people who aren't parents yet. Like, this is a big deal. I wish I would have known some of this.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I was going to touch on. As the non-parent of this trio right here, uh, like some of the stuff y'all have talked about, like I wouldn't think about because I go home to my dogs. I don't have kids, so I don't have to necessarily take this home with me. I mean, sure, take it home, when I'm around my family, when I'm around my nieces and my nephews and whatnot, when I'm around the kids here at church. But it's not something that I necessarily deal with on a daily basis because I don't have little me's running around.
Yet.
Yes, yet one day, hopefully.
Proclaim it. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. One day, hopefully, I'll be blessed with as many as I'm meant to be blessed with. It's important. It's important for us to remember as non-parents. We might not have kids that we take home with us, but even if it's only for a couple hours on a Sunday when we're around kids at church, we're still modeling and being an influence to them, and they're feeding off of us as well. So it's always important to keep that in mind. Like what are we putting out that they're picking up on?
Yeah, that's good. So my 13-year-old, and I know I said I was good. This is for the last thing. Pastors close like 5 times. So
I'm back to the Church of God, y'all.
Addison, she's my 13-year-old. When we were leaving yesterday, she was like, "Dad, I'm just gonna be honest. It was really hard to follow today." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Like you're not a parent. Like I get it.
Right.
You're 13." And she said, "But I wrote at the bottom of my notes, use this for the people that look up to you." So she's
Nice.
it's not just for parents, right?
Yeah.
Like no matter what, you are a role model for someone.
Yes.
And these are things that are important that you can take even as a 13-year-old,
Yeah.
right? That people that look up to her, maybe her siblings or her friends or younger people in the youth group, that she can take and apply to her life.
Yeah.
Because you got to close the gap between intentions and between actions.
Yep.
And not just in your marriage, but as parents.
Yeah.
You can be a good intended parent and still fail all the time because that gap is so big. So that just goes with what you just said, man, that there's something that everybody can take away to apply, because there's always someone looking up to you in some form or fashion, whether you want it or not. That's just life. So take it, use it. I love being a parent. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but I love it.
And going back to what I said earlier and what you just said about sometimes you're going to fail as a parent, that is perfectly okay because that gives you the opportunity to model to your kids. Failure's going to happen. Here's how you move on from that.
Right.
Straight God's working all things for good.
Yep.
That's all I got, man. I appreciate y'all sitting down and having this discussion. I know it's hard. Parenting's hard, but we need to be Christ-centered and let Him be the power in us and through us for that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. This was our second week of our our little deeper discussion on our Blueprint series. We're gonna end it next week with our final one in this series, and we hope you guys tune in then.